Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
We thank you for joining us on this pandemic project. Hopefully it grows into something much bigger than that. And we're wishing you a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, thanks so much for your support. It's been amazing. All your feedback and stuff. And we are just praying that God would continue to stay with you as 2020 comes to an end, and that as you come into 2021, it's going to be an amazing year. So thanks so much, and Merry Christmas from our family to yours. Welcome to this episode of
My Wife is a Therapist.
Let's get into it.
The following may or may not have happened.
Hey, here's what you're writing.
Right in the list, girl.
Well, Liz, you don't tell me you still believe in Santa.
Lol.
You ain't even laughing or smiling or nothing. What you doing?
Man, come the baby. Show me now. Man, stop ignoring me, man. I want attention.
Girl, I'm just reflecting on this year, like trying to note all the accomplishments that I've had.
You accomplished things in 2020?
Yeah? Why is that so surprising?
It's the same 2020 me and you living in.
Well, I hope so.
I can't wait to say goodbye to this stupid year.
Don't tell me you is one of them 2020 haters too.
Well, 2020 didn't make it very hard for people to hate it, did it? Well, it's that time again, folks. We'll be bigging up persons who've been tuning in and reaching out and giving us feedback. Listen to the end to find out how you can get in touch with us. This week, I'll be shouting out Olivia Paris Bowen. From the time our first episode dropped all the way to now, Olivia has been sharing, listening, and sending us her thoughts. She said, "So I just listened to a very entertaining but also gem-dropping podcast, and man, did I enjoy it." Livy also shared the podcast with one of her friends in Trinidad who said, "Look, this just saved my life." Of course, Olivia has also shared our podcast with her husband Yaredin, who's been coming back to us with the laughs and the appraisals, and man, look, Olivia?
You've stumped us.
Yep, that's out.
Go on with Eva.
Since this episode is going to be aired on my birthday, we're going to engage in one of my birthday traditions.
Well, eating black cake?
We got any cake here now?
So I want to know, what's your birthday tradition?
Reflecting on my year.
Since when you used to do the Carlyle?
You didn't know I used to do this?
Where you just be reflecting on your year?
Well, this is what I do. So since I was younger, I would wait up until 12 o'clock. First of all, when I was young, it was just because I was paranoid and I didn't want to be one of those people who died on their birthday. So I used to wait up until 12 to ensure still alive. And so, but as the years progressed, I used to just think about it at that time, leading up to my birthday. I used to think about what happened in the year, what I accomplished.
Okay.
I don't think I set goals, but at least I think about what I did and what I didn't do or what maybe I wanted to do that I didn't do.
Yeah, I remember you talking about waiting up and watching the clock to make sure you make it.
Yeah, sure. See my birthday. Thank God I'm alive on my birthday and then go to sleep.
Yeah, but I didn't know that you do the reflection. When you do when I sleep in?
You don't sleep before me, so it can't be when you sleep in.
Exactly. So when you just do this, Carlyle?
So when I lie down and they're staring into my own world. Well, to be fair though, you weren't with me on my birthday last year.
No.
Right? And the year before, we were traveling.
Where were we?
I wasn't traveling
The
home
year
back from my honeymoon just before my birthday.
No, that was the year before. That was when we were traveling back from the honeymoon. The year after we were together.
Yeah, well,
but I guess
you probably missed me when I was in my reflection mode.
Probably. Yeah. I was probably cooking or something.
At 12 in the night.
Oh.
That's how it's going on to
right,
Christmas Eve.
Right, yeah, it's true.
But you don't get reflection written all over your face when you're reflecting. So
I do.
Well, not me. Just
And if somebody asks me what I'm thinking,
I just said nothing.
I would say I'm reflecting.
Okay.
Or I would reflect out loud with you. You, on the other hand, what are you thinking? Nothing.
Nothing.
Ah, Lord, help us.
So what do you do on your birthday? Do you like reflect as well, or you just go wild? You do
Well,
any reflections on your
remember-
birthday?
I didn't. It's well, you know me, but it's only recently, I guess, I started like really enjoying my birthday. So I spend the time just being happy and being aware that I've made it to whatever age it was. So like I really like a quiet birthday. I don't necessarily sit down and reflect. I reflect throughout the year. I reflect every time I have to do my CV. Oh my gosh, yeah, because that's when you really see what you've done, or that's when I see what I've done. Especially when I have to take things out. When I do like the full version of my CV, which I happen to update fairly often. It gives me a chance to sort of see some of the things I have been able to do. So my birthday, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a time of reflection for me, but that's a really good practice.
So this year didn't go as planned for anyone, obviously. No one saw the pandemic coming. But can you remember how your year started?
I have no idea what January was like.
Really?
I can't remember nothing.
So my year started amazingly. I was actually...
You were in Scotland, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in Scotland.
Yeah.
We were in Glasgow, driving around, trying to find a good spot to catch the fireworks on New Year's. New Year's. So that was amazing.
Oh,
With a
right.
bunch of friends, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you remember? You remember now what
I
you were
remember
doing?
when
Yeah.
we were in church, and that this was like I think our first year together. We had like the after church lime, but it wasn't as long as this last year. I wonder if they did it for me.
They didn't want you to be alone.
So I didn't have to be alone at home. But it was so much fun. We played games at church. We had the giant Jenga thing. They had Sister Taiwo did musical chairs and stuff. It was good fun. And then the entire family escorted me home because it was really late.
Yeah. So they drive behind. You had a
They drive
procession.
behind- I had a procession. I think somebody was driving in front and behind me. It was so funny.
Oh my gosh.
And then Dad turned into the passageway so I could see,
Yeah.
and then walked me in and stuff, because it was like probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning or something. So them and their daughter-in-law.
That's very nice of them.
Very nice.
You marry into a nice family.
Properness. Maria Collins.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then I think I just spent the rest of the day probably sleeping because it was really tiring. We have like a really long service on New Year's night, and then into the new year. I don't remember doing anything like fun. I probably just talked to you for the rest of the day when because of the time difference and whatever. But yeah, it was a quiet day, but I don't remember like the rest of January.
Well, for me, the rest of January was back to classes and assignments. I got like a really good mark in my assignment. So this will happen. Everyone who went to Glasgow, right? We were all doing an assignment at that time, right?
Yeah.
And then when we got back, all of us got like really good marks. So like
Yeah.
we need to go to Glasgow more often. So it was like a really, really good start to the year.
I need to remember the story to remind you to take breaks.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Oh
true.
my gosh.
Yeah,
this
so
boy.
we all took a break in the middle of our assignments. And
Yeah.
then when we got back like the 3rd of January, back to work. And then
Yeah.
everyone got like really good grades. So it's like Glasgow's like a lucky charm.
So we all go to Glasgow soon.
we got to Glasgow. Yeah.
Yeah, but then February was a tough month. Well, I guess the beginning of it was fine. I don't remember what specifically I was doing. I was very busy. When you were gone, that was the way I kept myself occupied. Just did a whole lot of stuff. So supervising counselors, doing lots of stuff. And then on the 26th of February, Daddy died. So that was like a whole, I think from there until perhaps around the funeral or something, I was in a daze. I didn't know what day it was. I didn't know what was going on. That was one of the hardest things I've ever been through. And I was actually there, as I told you, when he died. And I saw myself like doing all those things that you see people do in the movies. And I always tell myself, I would never. So like I kissed him when he died. I was there just looking at him, looking at his lifeless body. And I think there were so many rich things that came out of that. I mean, it was really hard to go through it and stuff. Like, I remember when I arrived at the hospital, I knew that this was, even when I was driving to his home, and Mommy called and said, your uncle says that Daddy's looking really bad, so we need to go. So I went and I picked him up. And I remember calling my friend Avian.
I think we need to get Avian on this podcast. We call her name a
We
lot.
do. Avian. Oh, today's Avian's birthday. Shout out to Avian. Happy 40th birthday.
What are you doing?
Oh my gosh. So I called Avian and I was telling her, my dad isn't looking so good, and she was asking me if I was scared, and somehow I wasn't. I had this peace in my heart and stuff, and I just remember that entire night was just, I don't think I'll ever forget it. And on the way to the hospital, when my brother and mom were in the car with him, and I think my uncle was with me, and when I turned into the hospital and I got there and I saw them, they took him out of the car and whatnot. By the time I got into like the main hospital complex place, I saw them doing CPR on him, and I started hyperventilating. It was really bad. And I'm so sorry to bring you guys down with this story, but I stepped outside. I couldn't breathe. It was so scary, and I just took a moment. My now brother-in-law was there. Leroy was there, and he came and he just put his hand on my shoulder and stuff. I pulled myself together and I went back inside because my family was still in there. And then I saw the doctors like looking at each other while they were doing the CPR, and I knew that was the end of it. They called my brother over. They asked, we did have like a funny moment too, because the doctor asked who's the closest one to the patient.
Okay, yeah.
They didn't say us yet, yeah? Who's the closest one to the patient? And everybody said, we all are. In unison. It's like a choir, like we rehearsed it.
Mm-hmm.
But we let my brother go. So he and his wife, they sat down and they talked to the doctors, and I saw him crying. And my mother, the funny thing, I hope mommy don't vex with me. The funny thing is, right, we're standing there and I'm trying to take in this news, and the doctor just said that daddy passed. Right here, mommy, he kicked the bucket. Kerese, your father kicked the bucket. So I'm there trying not to laugh, but I think mommy was in shock too. So she looked at me, she's like, your father kicked the bucket? Your father died? But it was really beautiful, I think, for mommy as well, because daddy basically died in her arms. When they opened the car door, she said he just took one more breath. He looked up at her, and that was it. They never resuscitated him and whatnot. So that night, into March, he was buried like the first week in March. It was a really hard couple of days, and a real learning experience for me as well. I learned a lot about death that I don't think I would have learned had I not had that kind of close encounter with death.
So that was the start of the pandemic around that time as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
Daddy
things started. Yeah. And things started to shut down over here. Yeah. Classes. So I moved from being super active. I was going to campus every day. I had my timetable, We get to campus like spend 8 hours on campus basically. So campus every day. I was going to gym a couple of times a week, playing cricket a couple of times a week, and then suddenly everything was shut down. I had to be in my room, in my house all the time. Yeah. And it was difficult because I had assignments to do at the same time. And I just couldn't get out of bed. So the start of the pandemic, it was, and luckily, thankfully, the university, guess they understood what was going on. They understood the impact it could have on students. So without anyone even asking, we got like about 2 or 3 weeks extension on the assignments that we were doing at the time. Yeah. And also all the future assignments that we would have been given, they gave us 2 weeks extra. So that was helpful in itself, very sensitive on their part. Yeah,
well done, work.
Yeah. So the first couple of weeks of the pandemic, it was crazy. Just couldn't get out of bed, couldn't be productive, couldn't do anything. It was just a shock to the system.
Yes, and I just remember feeling so grateful that daddy was not part of that whole thing, because the first confirmed case was announced, I think, around the 5th of March. Yeah. Oh, another big thing was that we had elections.
Oh my God. Don't let us talk about that on this podcast, eh?
Guyana had its elections.
The longest elections.
Listen, when we say longest elections, we waited months before the election results.
5 months?
It was I gotta remember. I stopped counting after
a
while. We waited months for them to announce the results of the election.
My friends over here couldn't understand what was going on. They just couldn't. What do you mean? They ain't finished counting the ballots yet. This is not like a month.
Oh my gosh. It was really bad. But I mean, I think dealing with the death and stuff was like a distraction from it, but still it was very much present and all that. So daddy missed the election. Daddy missed the first confirmed case and all that. And I felt really grateful, because I think we all would have had lots of anxiety around him having so many comorbidities and then possibly
Was the
being
word
exposed.
comorbidities?
That's not it?
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, comorbidities.
New word.
Words mean things.
No,
right?
I don't know the word.
Yeah. So it's having several conditions at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he missed it. I was really grateful because also it would have changed the way we were able to do his funeral had he come had he died like further on and stuff. So yeah, so we had our first case. Of course, things continued to remain as normal. Everybody was just panicked, but people were still hugging and kissing on the street and waiting for the government to tell people when to stop doing that, even though the rest of the world was clearly putting things in place.
That's something like I don't know. I guess some people would say we don't have to follow the ABC countries and things like that, right? But I thought it would have been an opportunity to see what was going on in those countries and know, obviously it's going to reach us at some point and start to get precautions in place. But I guess no one saw it that way.
And I think Trinidad, I mean, I don't know what people who are actually in Trinidad would say about this, but Trinidad they were on it.
They moved before us.
Yeah, what? I mean, and then the other thing is that to be fair, we didn't have a functional government at the time. So, like, who was going to make the call? So the in-transit government or whatever, they were doing their daily reports and whatnot, but still, there wasn't, like, clear direction. So I guess that was somewhat understandable. My concern was just, why are people being so silly?
People like geared in ballot boxes and they know the pandemic.
Yes.
Anyway, we're reflecting on our lives right now.
Okay.
Not the state of affairs in Guyana. That's what Stretchers magazine do.
That's it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we had all that going on, and I was secretly enjoying the pandemic, to be quite honest.
In terms of what?
I enjoyed self-isolation.
Okay.
I enjoyed using that as an excuse for why I couldn't go anywhere, because I wasn't in the mood to go anywhere anyway, because of what was going on. But being able to and then I guess I realized that you and I, our daily life is quarantine. Even before the pandemic, we don't go places. We enjoy being at home and just the two of us, not having to socialize and stuff. So that was really good. I didn't feel fazed by it at all. The only thing was, I guess, the challenges around shopping. It's like if I have to do groceries and stuff, I had to be even more mindful. The wearing of the mask was really Lord.
And I guess Guyana is so hot as well, so the mask would have been an issue.
Yeah, I couldn't breathe lots of times. It was really hard.
There was a point in time when I hadn't left my house in like 2 months because I could have gotten my groceries delivered. I just had my work to do. And I just sat at home just doing work. And I just hadn't gone outside for ages, which wasn't good, but that's just what happened.
Yeah. And then I guess for me, it was just, I loved that you were home.
Yeah, imagine when it was coming down to the end of the pandemic. Well, sorry, not the end of the pandemic, but restrictions in the UK, right? They were opening up back stuff. Clubs could have been open. Outdoor sports were allowed. Like, I'm going to go join a cricket club, a local club, and play some cricket. And she was worried.
Of course. I just lost my father. I'm not about to lose my husband as well. And you weren't able to come home for the funeral and all that. Even that in itself, remember when you told me you thinking about if you should come home? I said, what kind of look, you better stay here behind where you are. I cannot imagine you. I just had these visions of all the coronavirus droplets or the droplets containing coronavirus, COVID-19 flying towards you. Like, no, thank you.
Catastrophizing, eh?
Yes, exactly. Look at you. This is what you learned in 2020, didn't you?
Yeah, learned a couple of words, comorbidities and catastrophizing. But one of the things I'm actually looking forward to, right? Should God spare my life when I live on, I'm interested to see what's gonna remain in terms of our mannerisms as a result of the COVID. So, for example,
the handshake.
Like us old people, right? We would we still say hang up phone.
Yeah.
Right? So some children, they have no idea. On cell phones, they say end call. Why would we say hang up phone, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to hang up. But for example, what's going to remain as a result that we could have seen starting now?
Yeah.
And it remains in the next 20 years. Why people still doing? Obviously, we hope people continue washing their hands.
Oh, Lord.
Hopefully people continue doing that and with the same, or at least quite frequently as they do now. But what's going to remain? People going to when they're having conversations outdoors, they're gonna stand 2 meters apart. Or maybe the folks of our generation would have an idea what 2 meters looks like. So they'll be able to average 2 meters really well, just because of what happened, just because they lived through a pandemic, social distancing. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be cool if people maintain like the handshake, the elbow
bump.
Yeah, so just things like that, the elbow bump. That's gonna be a cool thing to continue doing as opposed to shaking hands. Perhaps people do more fist bumps also.
Yeah, people do more fist bumps.
Yeah,
it was like, I don't know. I thought it was like mainly a black people thing.
Yeah,
but now we see more people are doing fist bumps and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that was the pandemic and stuff, and then I got some really amazing work experience this year. It's been real. It's been wonderful. I have had the opportunity to lecture at the University of Guyana part-time, and then while that was happening in May, I got a really good job offer to come here to Kiel to lecture as well, which was it just all felt like such an honor to be able to do this, to come back to a university where I was and to have the school place confidence in me to actually teach their people. And so that's been an incredible journey, with being reunited with you, the icing on the cake.
Yeah, we've both been to the UK separately. We've made friends, but now we're able to be here together.
Yeah.
Even though we haven't had the chance to meet our friends because of restrictions, but hopefully we can still get a chance to meet our friends together because they've seen us separately, but they've never seen us together, which is very
so
very
funny.
interesting.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think 2020, I have not felt like it was a really good year for us, actually. Yeah, contrary to our scripting just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good year. And then, I came to the UK and was able to land in the UK on my 30th birthday. So it was a big, and I told you that I really wanted to enjoy my 30th birthday, and I absolutely did from beginning to end. So yeah, I'd say it was an amazing year.
And in fact, we had this podcast is a pandemic project.
Yeah.
This podcast was like the most elegant way you can think of procrastinating because we started recording and we recorded the first 2 episodes and edited the first 2 episodes of this podcast while I was doing my dissertation. So it was like when I was like looking for information about how to do the podcast and things like that, I was like thinking this is the most epic way to procrastinate. Even though I procrastinated, I still managed to...
Tell him, baby.
Kerese forced me to say this, right?
Go ahead, baby.
Tell the people.
Tell
Tell them now.
that I managed to get a distinction, was it?
Yes, you did!
I've achieved a distinction in my studies, which is amazing. I'm thankful for that, because it was difficult. It was difficult.
Yeah. And there are lots of people who don't... I've always felt like... I used to get upset when I was in school and stuff, and people would say things like, oh man, yeah, we didn't expect anything less, she bright. And I'm sure people would say the same of you, he bright, man.
I don't think they mean anything bad though.
They don't. And it's just people expressing their confidence in our ability to excel. But you worked hard. For those of you who don't know, Carlyle has come from a pure science background. He was chemistry, biology, natural sciences, sorry. And so, he did his undergraduate in forensic science. He was working in a lab. So this was his field. Then all of a sudden my husband, well, it wasn't all of a sudden because you had mentioned before, interest in technology related areas. And then my husband told me he going and do a master's in cybersecurity. And I'm looking at him like, what?
And it's done. It's done.
So he basically taught himself, for that entire year. I'm sure, you had really good support from the university and stuff. But
some amazing classmates as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have been really impressed by, watching you really put your mind to the task. That's one of the things I really love about you, just being able to sit down and focus and tell yourself, the boy, when I asked Carlyle, like I would say something like, you think you're going to be able to finish this degree? It's like, I don't have a choice.
You have to finish it.
What do you mean if I can finish a degree? Because I'm just trying to check out with the man, how he feeling, how is his confidence level. I think my confidence here. It is going to be done.
Yeah, you got to commit to it and then see it through.
Yeah, but I've just been so impressed to see, and thankful to God as well, for giving you a mind that's able to just focus and excel. So like even I have to say that I really am not going to miss having to read things I don't understand.
At least you just look for grammatical errors. That's all you need to do. And look at the structure and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I did learn some things, I think. And I am a lot more cyber
Cyber aware. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. I am a lot more aware. It's like there are certain things I would never buy in our house, like
Well done.
Alexa devices, and I always have Siri turned off on my phone and stuff like that because of, you know, being able to learn from you and stuff. But I guess I am just really grateful to have been able to watch you make the sacrifices that you did make to learn so well. You know, not only did he get a distinction in his final, you know, in the overall project, but the man got a distinction in his dissertation. Now, I can't remember what the dissertation was about. What was it about?
It was
Open source something?
mitigating the effects of anti-forensic attacks on open source network forensic tools. That means nothing to anyone, but yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Right? So I read that and it was a really good piece of work. I mean,
Thank you.
I can't remember what I learned, but I just remember while reading it, I was really like, wow, this is amazing. And I understood it. So if I could understand it, I felt, look, they better give him a distinction for this thing. And you did. You got a good mark too. You got what?
Please don't tell people my business. Thank you.
And then, you know, the overall thing was also that you're now graduate.
Oh my! But we're talking so long in this podcast. Anyway, so
That's the last one, man.
yeah. So guys, we're gonna take this is gonna be the end of season 1,
Yeah.
and we're gonna return probably later end of January or early February.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So I've never graduated. This is my story. So nursery school doesn't count, even though we had like a nursery school graduation.
Mm-hmm.
In primary school, we had a headmistress who didn't think we deserved graduation, so we didn't have any graduations that year. In Bishops, that was my first secondary school. We were told this is a sixth form school, so those who leave in fifth form cannot graduate. So I left in fifth form because I wanted to go to another school that does science. I was interested in the sciences. Bishops didn't do the science subjects. Then I went to QC, Queen's College, to do sixth form. On the day of the graduation, I wasn't available. I was at camp somewhere, so I missed that. So that was my point. I missed that graduation.
Yeah.
Then I did my undergrad in the UK here. I finished. I couldn't return. I couldn't return to do my graduation
You
here.
can get leave or something.
Yeah, I couldn't return to do that. And then now I'm doing my master's. Like, okay, yes, this is the time I'm going to stay here in the UK until January to graduate. And guess what? We're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing graduation is just not for me. I'm not meant to graduate. People tell me to do a PhD, but no.
Oh my gosh. I mean, to be fair, you did have like your friends from
that's
church
true.
for the undergrad. They created like a graduation type thing. They ordered a cap and gown and everything for him and stuff.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, so his Bournemouth friends. But yeah, the boy has just never graduated and I was so excited. I was like, yes, this is the time. This is the year. You know, you're gonna do it, and then I'm gonna come in January 2021. You're gonna get to graduate. And COVID-19. So yeah, but it's been a good year. But you know, there were also lots of experiences that other people around me were having, and for them it wasn't so good.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard for lots of people. Lots of people died as a result of COVID-19. Also, you know, just other things. There were friends I had whose friends, you know, committed suicide, and it was just a really, really, really hard year. You know, it felt at one point like people were just dropping like flies. Yeah. So I'm also conscious that, you know, while we're reflecting, there are lots of people who, for Christmas for them would not really be that good, because there are going to be lots of empty chairs, as people have been saying, at the lunch tables around the world. So, and that's okay. I think it's okay to not be okay. And now for therapy apps.
If you didn't know, my wife is a therapist. I'll ask her to put on her therapist hat and share some pointers with you for how to navigate situations like this that might arise in your relationships.
As this year comes to an end, we want to encourage you and your partner to reflect together. Studies have shown that practicing reflection promotes good mental health. Looking back can help us see how much we've accomplished and how well we've done. Knowing that we've been able to overcome difficulties in the past can help us manage our anxieties about the future. And this can calm those feelings of inadequacy that creep up from time to time. 2020 has hit us all in some way. For some, it's been a year of great loss. For others, a year of great gain. But I think we might all agree, 2020 is a year we won't forget. As you reflect, you might realize that actually, it's not been all that bad. I've experienced some losses, but there's at least one great thing that's happened to me, and I am so filled with gratitude. On the other hand, some of you might say, this has been the worst year of my life. I'm ready to walk away from this year with hopes for a better 2021. That's okay too. People who practice reflection in their everyday lives are more self-aware. This in turn helps them become more aware of how their behavior and attitudes might be impacting on their partners and others around them. Reflecting helps us become aware of lessons we've learned so that we can move toward the future with determination and focus. So, how's 2020 been for you? What are you grateful for? What lessons have you learned? What might you want to do better? Happy reflecting and cheers to a great year ahead.
Thank you for those wise words, babe.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed it.
If you found this enjoyable, please recommend this podcast to one friend who you know will find it useful. We'd appreciate it. And we'd love to hear from you. So send us an email at mywifeisatherapist@gmail.com.
And remember, my wife is not just a therapist. She is an excellent therapist.